There she is. Anne Heche's working on a movie about sex trafficking before her fiery car crash on August 5th, which ultimately took her life. It wasn't the crash that took her life. Her life was taken after she was put in that ambulance. Um, but want to go down here a little. Heche was working on Girl in Room 13, playing the mother of a sex trafficking victim. Okay, so and you know how sensitive they are about that stuff. But even more, she was supposed to appear on a Television Critics Association panel for Girl in Room 13 that day. So they did not want her talking in that Television Critics Association panel for Girl in Room 13. So that's what happened. Somebody thought, somebody thought she was going to talk and say stuff that she shouldn't say. And now, well, now she's dead. I mean, the sex trafficking thing, as you know, as we all know, I mean, they'll kill you in a heartbeat for that, for trying to expose them for that. Even if they have even a slight inkling that you might open your mouth.
Celia Farber points out how the mass media tradition of obsessing over the deaths of celebrities has been absent since 2021 as a clear tactic to deflect mass death by COVID shots. And the death of Anne Heche marks a return to this mainstream media tradition. And the whole story is very strange. Just before the crash, Heche visited the Glass Hair Design Salon in Venice and purchased a red wig, where she posed for a picture with the salon's owner, who did not notice her to be impaired in any way. Minutes later, Heche crashed into an apartment complex where residents tried helping her out of the vehicle before the car was put in reverse and sped off. Videos then show her car recklessly speeding down a residential street and nearly hitting a pedestrian. She then hits a car before finally crashing the Mini Cooper into a house where it bursts into flames. But this is where the story gets really strange. While being carried to the ambulance, we see that her legs are secured, and she is covered in what looks like a cloth body bag. We are told that she couldn't breathe, and yet they covered her face. And the reason these details were noticed is because we see her become fully conscious while frantically trying to escape the body bag and leg straps. Nothing was reported about this, and Heche's former boyfriend said that Anne was stable and expected to pull through. But then we are told she is in a coma, and then we are told that while her heart is still beating, she's legally dead according to California law. But she will be kept on life support for possible organ donation. And then, right in the middle of the ancient 3-day festival to honor the goddess Diana, known as Nemoralia, they pull the plug on Anne Heche and let her die. This is quite similar to what happened in Paris 25 years ago on the satanic inverted Nemoralia, August 31st, when Princess Diana was looked after as she bled to death in a tunnel dedicated to the goddess Diana. Many believe that Princess Diana was about to expose the royal family, and Anne Heche, who recently starred in a movie exposing chemtrails, was currently promoting her most recent film that was exposing the horrors of child sex trafficking. Child sex trafficking, along with all human trafficking, is the biggest business in the world. The slavery business is at an all-time high, and the thugs who run it are known for their satanic rituals. Ritual murders have always been, at a base level, a form of crowd control. The Anne Heche story has caused many to look back into the mysterious death of Michael Hastings. Journalist Michael Hastings had just published a story for Rolling Stone that resulted in the resignation of commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, and was working on a story of CIA Director John Brennan. The day before he died, Hastings emailed friends to warn them that the feds were interviewing his close friends and associates, and told them he was onto a big story and needed to go off the radar for a bit. Early the next morning, Hastings' silver Mercedes hit a palm tree and exploded, somehow launching the engine block 60 yards away from the car. Former counterterrorism czar Richard Clarke told the Huffington Post that Hastings' crash was consistent with a car cyber attack, and that intelligence agencies for major powers are able to remotely seize control of a person's vehicle. He added that if there was a cyber attack on Hastings' car, whoever did it would probably get away with it. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
I want to know what happened here. What is going on? Because this side angle view just makes the whole thing look even worse. And again, I don't know if we can go back to that video from yesterday, the 50-second one, because there's a good chunk where they're walking the gurney up to the ambulance. And I think that's important because you can see the whole time, not only is the body still, it is covered in a body bag. And it's another one of those things that I've not seen any answer to say, well, this is standard practice. It's standard practice when you have somebody who's injured to completely cover their entire body, including their mouth, face, eyes, and everything in a blanket, and to strap them down with that blanket. So again, you can see it's not just, she wasn't struggling the whole time, right? It'd be one thing if she's just like in pain and kind of freaking out, maybe on drugs, you know, whatever the situation is, and she's freaking out the whole time, and they're pushing her with the gurney. But for the entire time that they're walking up, you can't see an inch of her skin because she's covered completely, and it looked like strapped down. So they cover her completely, put her in a bag of some sort, or put the blanket completely over her face, and wheel her to the ambulance, only to have her burst out and try to escape the instant before she's physically shoved inside. So again, it's that lead up that I think gives more context and inspires the questions as to, and you can see like the strap, she pushes the strap off her. The strap was keeping her down, probably keeping her hands at her side, and she was able to push back. And even there, you can see the skin. She doesn't look, I imagine she is burned, but usually when somebody is like severely burned, you can tell. Her skin looks fine there. Maybe it's not. But again, it was said that a traumatic head injury cut off the oxygen flow to her brain. Again, my understanding is an injury that traumatic would have to be inflicted during the actual crash itself, not as a subsequent action to the crash. I don't think it was, I mean, it wasn't. They called it an anoxic brain injury. They didn't say that she suffocated. They didn't say that she wasn't getting oxygen into her lungs. It was the veins were cut off, the arteries that pump the oxygen-rich blood to the brain that was blocked off. And yet then why is she able to act like that? Another angle at adding even more questions to this Heche.